Hey YouTube, this is Sign19 coming with you with my updated Fang Liberator Garmore Excel Premium deck. So due to having a lot of new overdress cards from Cater Sanctuary, uh, I revamped my deck and it seems to be doing way better than my previous one, which I'll have linked up above there. So if you guys want to see how the deck progressed from where it was to where it is now, not really much has changed, but we're just going to get into it really quickly. So, with that aside, we'll just start off with the grade 3s. Nothing really has changed so much with the grade 3s. They're still basically the same, so we're just going to rush through this pretty fast. So, as I stated before, this deck is a Garmore deck. So, we're going to zoom out here. Boop. There we are. So, we're playing 4 copies of Fang Liberator Garmore. So Fang Liberator Garmore is the last rendering of Garmore in the G era. So this grade 3 is all about the Liberator archetype. So its skill says when a unit with Garmore or Liberator and his card name strides on top of him, you can counterblast 1, search the top 3 cards of your deck, and call up to 2 Liberator cards from among them. Put the rest at the bottom of your deck. So that's a good nifty way to flood the board. But then his Generation Break 2 skill is that at the end of your turn, you can return 2 Liberator cards from your field to the top or bottom of your deck and then draw 1 card. So that way you can set yourself up to draw into key pieces or just randomly draw into a new card to hoping that you get something really good. So this Garmore, I have to say, is a good all-around flexible grade 3 and a good boss unit to have. But you may be wondering, from like before, it doesn't have Excel. So to supplement that, we play the 4 copies of Bluish Flame Liberator Percival. Simply the fact that Percival has the ability to create Excel markers not only on the Vanguard circle but also on the Rearguard circle. So if you're able to get Percival out through Garmore's skill, you can still create Excel circles and get the benefits of having those Excel circles. So you're not really losing any type of benefit of not running an Excel Vanguard as your boss unit. So those are the only grade 3s that we play in this deck. Next, we're going to go into the grade 2s. So we play 4 copies of Gold Garan. Gold Garan is a Cater Sanctuary grade 2 from Brush with the Legends. He has a very simple skill. When he's placed from anywhere, that means hand, deck, or anywhere you can get him out, he Soul Blasts 1, Superior calls a grade 1 from your hand, and that unit gets plus 5k. Now, the reason why we play this card is to allow you to activate a lot of your grade 1 skills that if you are unlucky to draw into them, because most of the grade 1s in this deck are, well, specifically one grade 1 needs to be called out of the deck or superior call in some manner to activate the skill. Now, the next grade 2 that we play is Oath Liberator Aglavale. Now, this is the V era Aglavale. So you should be very familiar with this. We're just going to go over a skill very briefly. Vanguard Circle. When placed, counterblast 1, check the top 3 cards of your deck, call up to 1 from among them, put the rest on the bottom of your deck. Now, his Rearguard skill is that when he swings, he can suck in 1 unit on your board and gain 10k. In my opinion, I would rather play the old G-era version of Aglavale, which is just on place from anywhere, counterblast 1, check top 3, call 1. That way you can literally go from Garmore to Aglavale to another unit. That way you're progressing. And then also having Aglavale stay on the board at the end of the turn, allowing Garmore to throw him back to the deck and get a draw off of it. This one, it's counterintuitive to that playstyle because you're losing cards off your board that could be Garmore's targets to get that extra draw. Now, the last grade 2 we play is I play the common grade 2 Cloudwing Eagle. Cloudwing Eagle has a very simple skill, but as you can see, it is a 5k unit. But Whenever a card is placed on the Vanguard Circle, or Guardian Circle, he gains +5. That's on both players' turns. It doesn't matter. So he can get very large very quickly. And if you know Go Paladin, they're all about that spam superior calling. So those are the only grade 2s that we play. Now we're going to go into the support cards for this deck. Of course, we're playing 4 copies of Dawning Knight Gargaduke, our grade 3 searcher. We're not going to even go into the skill, you know what it does. So we play, on top of that, we play 3 Listener of Truth Din Drain. For all you OG V-Era Go Paladin players, you should know what Din Drain does. So on place, when called through a skill, Soul Blast 1, you can either counter charge 1 and gain 3k or draw 1 card. Now the reason why we play this is that we also play Goddo, because if we draw into Din Drain, we have absolutely no way to proc her. But now thanks to the Cater Sanctuary grade 2, giving us that ability, we can proc her and give her more power. So she's no longer a brick in the hand. So next we're playing a old but a goodie, Sunshine Knight Jeffrey. This is the old school. Sorry for the noise in the back. That's the air conditioning. This is the old school Jeffrey. So back in the day, Jeffrey's skill was Generation Break 1. After this unit boosts a Vanguard or Rearguard, you can tuck him into the soul and draw 1. So you're never losing value for having him. And if you have to use Jeffrey alongside Gardon, it's a 12k booster that immediately gives you back a draw. And finally, we're playing May Rain Liberator Bruno. Bruno is similar to Cloudwing, but it only gains its power when things are called out from the deck. So for every unit called out from the deck while he's on the field, he's going to gain 3k, so he can become a very large booster. Those are all of our grade 1s. So for grade 0s, of course we have the starter. We play the Cater Sanctuary Overtrigger. We play 4 copies of the Strive Fodder Crit. 4 copies of the Draw PG. 4 copies of the Liberator Heal Trigger. So back in the day, we had effect heals. So this card states when you use this card for a G Guardian, if you already have another copy of this card in your drop zone, you can bind both of them and either soul charge 1 or counter charge 1. And finally, we play 3 copies of Ketchgall Liberator. So Ketchgall Liberator is a very useful, very free card. So whenever Ketchgall is called out of the deck through a skill, he immediately tucks himself back underneath the deck and then checks the top 3 cards of the deck, and then you superior call something that's not him. So for example, if you use Garmore skill to check top 3, call Ketchgall, put those cards at the bottom, put Ketchgall at the bottom, check top 3 again. So you get a double call off of Ketchgall. He just helps you refund things if he's the only good card to come out. So that is the deck in its entire. So we're going to shuffle up here. We're going to do a bit of a hand test, so you can get a good idea of what you might be able to see or do with this deck once you start playing in it. But before we do that, well, I'm going to shuffle up first. But before we do that, I'm going to show you what the G zone looks like. So the G zone is very compact, very linear. You know what to go into, what not to go into. And you'll be surprised what stride unit is your finisher. So we're just going to shuffle up, put this to the side, and then we're going to go to the G zone, and then we're going to do a test hand. Okay? So for the G zone, you play 3 copies of Golden Knight Gleaming Fang Garmore. Garmore is basically, in a nutshell, one of our win cons. Because by the time you want to go into Garmore, your deck is already so small and so compact that you're going to be hitting nothing but triggers. If you can get there. And you might even be able to hit your over trigger. So here's the reason why Garmore This Garmore Stride is so prevalent in this deck, and I believe it should be at least a one of in most players' deck if you're able to use it. So Garmore skill states once per turn, act once per turn, Generation Break 2. You can put one card from your drop zone to the bottom of your deck, reveal the top 6 cards of your deck, and for every high beast card, give one of your units +4. If 4 more high beasts were revealed, give the Vanguard a crit. But that's not the best part of the deck. The best part of this deck is that it's his Axel, which is not once per turn. It is a Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, check top 3, call 1, shuffle your deck. And you can do this as many times as you have Counterblast and Soul to pay for the cost. Which means you can literally run your deck out of normal units and leaving all the trigger units in your deck. But for example, if you were to have the over trigger in your drop zone, you could put the over trigger back in the deck, knowing that your deck is so compressed that you're going to hit it. But you have to be aware of this because you know the Cater Century over trigger gives all Rearguards the ability to drive check. You could drive check yourself out of the game, so you have to be aware of if it's important enough, or is it the right time to use the over trigger to having it in your deck, because it could be the balance between either winning or losing the game. Next, we played 2 copies of Golden Dragon Spearcross Dragon. This is your flexible utility card. So for all of our new players, we're just going to go over what it does real quick. So act Unite. So Unite is a keyword that's for Gold Paladin. Basically, it states that if you call 2 or more cards, your entire game state is in Unite. So its Unite skill is that you can Counterblast 2, discard 1 card, Superior Stride it from the G zone face up on your Vanguard circle. So it's an alternative stride cost. But its other ability is act once per turn, Soul Blast 1, check top 5, call 2, shuffle your deck. So a very good way to flood the board. Next, we play another one of our win cons, which is Golden Dragon Glorious Reigning Dragon. So Reigning Dragon is like toward a mid to late game card that you want to go into. Basically, its skill is when it swings, you Counterblast 1, Persona flip a card in the G zone face up, and then you return 2 of your Rearguards to the deck. Mind you, this is also a Unite card. Then for every face-up card in your G zone, you get to, out of that 7 that you look at, you get to call 1. So let's say you have 5 cards in your G zone. That is a Unite of 5, meaning you get to call 5 units out of the 7 that you looked at. That's it for the Stride units. So I told you, very compact. So now we're going to go into the G Guardians. This is True Liberator of Healing Elise. So Elise has a very simple skill. One place, Counterblast 1, flip over a G Guardian in your G zone. Look at 2 cards from the top of your deck. Call up to one of them to the Guardian circle and put the other one to the bottom of the deck. If the guard was successful, move the card that was called to an open Rearguard circle. It's not a place, it's a move. So on-play skills will not trigger. Next, we play 2 copies of Golden Beast Slamy Flare. Slamy Flare has a very similar skill to Elise, but instead of checking the top 2, you get to check the top 5 and call up to 2 cards with different grades. So his skill is on place, return one of your Rearguards to the bottom of your deck, check top 5, call up to 2 with 2 different grades to the Guardian circle. But unlike Elise, you don't get to place them on Rearguards when the Guardian is done. Finally, our last G Guardian is Sacred Heaven Prayer Master Regia. Regia is really just here for flip fodder, but you could go into her. So her skill is basically if you have 2 or more Rearguards, she gains +5. But really, she's here for Elise's flip fodder at the end of the day. Alright guys, that is the G Zone. So we're going to get this up. And then we're going to go into a test hand, and I think that will be it for this video. Alright. So we're going to go into a bit of a test hand. Let's see what we get. Good. We got our boss. We got our Stride Fodder. We got our grade 2 target. And we got a grade 1 target. So we're going to throw 2 cards back. See what we get. It can. Well, we can work with it. So then we shuffle. So then we draw for turn. Call. Ride. Call. Not bad. Our opponent attack, take a damage. Draw. Well, that's pretty good. Ride, skill, counterblast 1, check top 3. 1, 2, 3. Of course, we're going to call that. The other 2 to the bottom of the deck. Then, because we have the pieces, we can call Golgal, skill, Soul Blast, Superior Call, Doreen. Let's put Doreen here, skill of Doreen, Soul Blast again. We could either counter charge or draw. So at this point, I think we can just draw. Should have counter charged, but either way, if you had another way to get more cards on the board, you can do that. So we drew. So since we drew it and counter charge, we don't get any power. But then you just swing, draw check, swing for 17. Well, plus 5, 12, 22. 22 on their grade 1. That's a very good magic number. Then our opponent will attack. We could intercept, take a damage, critical, pass turn, stand. Now here's the difference between going first and second with this deck. If you were going first and we had Percival in hand, you would want to ride Percival first. That way you can get an Excel, then another Excel. But if you're going second, you usually want to ride Garmore first. That way, because you're able to stride. So you want to immediately go into a stride. I didn't draw for turn. You immediately want to go to a stride, and your first stride will always be Spear Cross Dragon. Spear Cross is skill. Soul Blast 1. Flip a card face up in the G zone. Checking the top 5 cards of the deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So of course we're going to call Percival. We're going to call Ketchko. The other cards go to the bottom of the deck and shuffle. So like I told you before, even though we have a non-Excel Vanguard, we can still make Excel circles. So first things first, we're going to activate Percival skill, counterblast 1, discard a card from our hand. We can get rid of that. We get an Excel, which means we immediately refund the card we just dropped. Percival skill, we get to search now for a unit, which is always going to be Aglavale. Shuffle. Then activate Ketchko skill, putting Ketchko to the bottom of the deck. We get to check the top 3 cards of the deck again. 1, 2, 3. Nothing good, but we have to call something. So we're going to call this here. Cards to the bottom. Shuffle. Unfortunately, sometimes you do just brick like that and get nothing but triggers. You have to work with it. So we will retire that trigger. Then we'll call 2 Jeffries. Then we will retire Doreen. Call, check top 5. We do a lot of checking in this deck. Got the Percival. Cards to the bottom. Then shuffle. Shuffle really nicely. Okay. Then we have to drop a card. Normally, in this case, we would just drop the Percival. Right? Then we'll swing here. Naturally, we'll attack here next. Triple drive. First check. Second check. Final check. We got the Percival back. At the end of the battle, soul charge, draw. So it's like we never lost any cards at all. Attack here. Skill. Soul charge. Draw. Then attack. Skill. Yeah, that's fine. Skill to the soul. Bounce back. At the end of the turn, If we had another Liberator card, we would have put Percival and another Liberator to the bottom deck to draw another card. But anyway, doing all that, we came out with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards in hand. And if you can tell, we're pretty good on defense when it comes to what we have in our hand. And we're completely set up for next turn. So by playing these cards right and knowing which order to play the cards in, there is no way that you can't make a great offensive and also buff yourself with a great defense. So that is the Liberator Garmore deck. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it's a bit of a short rush type of video, but like I said, I've already done this deck profile and just a few things here and there that have been changed. But if you guys like what you saw and you have any comments or questions, please leave them down below. Please subscribe to the channel. This is a primarily budget channel where new players can learn how to up their game and things like that. Please share the video. If you have any friends who want to get into premium, standard, V premium, anything, and they don't want to spend overly expensive to get decks or anything like that, or they might have a deck concept that they want to build but don't know how, please leave a comment down below. I love deck crafting and deck theorizing and things like that. I'd be more than willing to help you guys. I will be leaving a link down to my Discord down below so you can catch me there too. So, as always, this has been Silent Team saying, see you later.